What's going on, guys? Aero here, and welcome back to another video. Now in today's video, I want to talk to you guys about the rumor that we have about a brand new Nintendo Switch system that could potentially be releasing next year in 2019. Now before we take a look at this rumor, I actually want to show you guys this article that came out a couple months ago. So you can see right here that this article came out on March 1st, 2018, and it says that Nintendo has no plans for a Switch 2.0. So basically Nintendo has no plans of having a brand new Nintendo Switch system come out, and I find it interesting how this article came out, and then just a couple months later we have a rumor that a brand new Nintendo Switch system could be coming out next year. So yeah, let's take a look at this article. It says here that Nintendo has a long history of revising its hardware. There were multiple editions of the Game Boy, DS, and 3DS, and taking this into account, it's understandable that some are expecting the Japanese company to announce a new Switch model in the next 12 months. The DS Lite, lest we forget, came just over a year after the original model. However, the Wall Street Journal has spoken to sources which claim that Nintendo has no plans to produce new hardware variants of the system at this time. The sources state that a Switch 2.0 isn't on Nintendo's radar and that it will maintain the current model for some time yet. That's understandable, as the hybrid console is expected to hit 17 million sales worldwide by March this year, a remarkable achievement. Nintendo will instead focus on improving manufacturing and shipping for the current model. According to the sources, Nintendo will drive Switch sales with accessories rather than hardware revisions, and I think this is a quote right here from the Wall Street Journal. And it says here, the people familiar said expanded Switch features in the coming year could include additional network related features and peripherals that are attached to the USB-C port. At an investor briefing in February, Mr. Kimishima, the Nintendo CEO, said that he wanted to make the Switch's product cycle longer than the 5 to 6 year span that's become customary in the video game industry. One person familiar with the development plans said waiting longer to introduce variations in the hardware would serve that purpose. So yeah, you can see right here that this article basically talked about how Nintendo really wanted to focus more on accessories rather than hardware revisions, that they would rather have things that would utilize the USB-C port on the Switch system, or just like things with the Joy-Cons and stuff that they could release, instead of having a brand new Switch system come out that does something else and it has like hardware revisions. So I find it interesting how this article came out, and now we've got a rumor of a brand new Nintendo Switch system that could be releasing next year. So yeah, let's take a look at that article instead. Alright, so here's the article about the rumor that a potential new Nintendo Switch system could be releasing next year. So it says here, rumor, suppliers and others with direct knowledge of the plan say that a new Switch model will release in the second half of 2019. So it says suppliers and others with direct knowledge of the plan have told the Wall Street Journal that Nintendo will be releasing a brand new Nintendo Switch model. This new model will be releasing in the second half of 2019, possibly as early as summer. All we know is that the machine specs are not finalized yet, and Nintendo is still figuring out what they want to change, but one option is improvement on display. For example, that would include improving battery life. According to site sources, third-party developers hope that the new Nintendo Switch system could give a clear hint on what would happen to the 3DS line. Nintendo did not make any comments about the matter. Now, something that I found pretty funny was how even in the first article where it talked about how Nintendo has no plans for a Switch 2.0 or any type of Switch revision, that source came from the Wall Street Journal. And we're also talking here about a new rumor that a new Nintendo Switch system could be releasing next year, and that's also coming from the Wall Street Journal. So I find it interesting how both of these rumors just came from the Wall Street Journal, but I do find it kind of cool that maybe a new Nintendo Switch system could be releasing next year in 2019. So if a new Nintendo Switch system is releasing, there's really two big options that I can see this entire thing taking, and that's what I want to discuss with you guys as to what this could be, because we don't really know for a fact on how this revision is going to work. So in terms of Switch revisions, the two things that come to mind are, number one, a more affordable model, as we know that Nintendo likes to do that sometimes, where if they think that their main console right now or their main system is a little too expensive, they can come up with a little cheaper model that might have less features and stuff like that, but it might be easier for people to get their hands on one, as right now a lot of people do think that paying $300 for a Nintendo Switch is a lot of money, so they might want to have like a cheaper option for like $200 or maybe like $250. And then of course the other option is to make this new Nintendo Switch system even more powerful and stronger than the Nintendo Switch system that we currently have. And now I don't know if a lot of you guys can see this, but I'm going to help you understand it right now. We actually have the perfect example of this happening right from Nintendo with their last system. And of course, I'm talking about the Nintendo 3DS. Now if we take a look right here, you can see that the very first model of the Nintendo 3DS was released in 2011. And just 2 years later, we actually got a 3DS revision, which was known as the 2DS. And this was a more affordable option because at that time, I think like a 3DS was like $180, it was like $200. So some people weren't ready to spend that much money on being able to play their Nintendo 3DS or having 3DS games. So Nintendo actually released a 2DS, which was a more affordable option. I think this was like only $100 or like $110. It was very cheap at that time, and it was still able to play all of the Nintendo 3DS games, just it didn't have any of the 3D features. And then after the Nintendo 2DS released, we actually got another hardware revision for the Nintendo 3DS, which was known as the new Nintendo 3DS. And this new Nintendo 3DS was actually the more powerful version of the Nintendo 3DS. It had NFC capabilities with amiibos, it had a C-stick, it had stronger hardware so you could have faster load times, so this was like the more powerful version of the Nintendo 3DS. Now to be honest, I could totally see Nintendo trying to do the same thing here with the Nintendo Switch, as if you take a look at the chart right here, you can see that the Nintendo 2DS came out 2 years after the original Nintendo 3DS. So I feel like they could do the exact same thing here because this rumor is for a new Nintendo Switch system that could be releasing in 2019. So 2019 is 2 years after the original Nintendo Switch came out in 2017. And so Nintendo could do the same thing where they have a more affordable Nintendo Switch system that releases next year. Maybe it could be like a little bit smaller, it could be like a little Nintendo Switch Mini, or they could have like maybe a slightly lower battery life, or they could have maybe the screen resolution be not that good, and that way it would still be able to play all of your Nintendo Switch games. Maybe it doesn't come with a dock or something, but like you would be able to play all your Switch games and it would still run perfectly fine, but that Switch system would be more affordable. Maybe it could be like $200 or like $220, and so that way people who don't want to spend $300 in order to get a Nintendo Switch can still experience all of the Nintendo Switch games that they would love to play. And then a few years later, they could release a new Nintendo Switch system that's actually more powerful than the Nintendo Switch system that was released in 2017. So maybe then they could have like more stronger hardware in there. They could have a better screen as well. They could have maybe like a 1080p screen. They could have better battery life and better performance. And I could definitely see that happening as well. But I mean, this rumor right here, it stated that they're talking about a better display and better battery life and stuff right from the Switch system that could be coming out next year. So maybe the next year system is going to be the more powerful version, and then they have a more affordable option that releases later. But I really feel like it should be the other way around. I feel like next year a lot of people are going to want to get a Nintendo Switch. I think 2019 is just going to be a ridiculous year. You've got Animal Crossing, you've got Luigi's Mansion 3, you've got Generation 8 for Pokemon. Like there's going to be a lot of people who want to buy a Nintendo Switch next year, but a lot of people who probably won't be able to afford it because it's $300. So I really feel like if they released a more affordable option next year, and even though how it says right here, like it could come out even as early as summer, I think that would be the great option to do. And I think a lot of people would be willing to purchase that system in order to play all the big games that are coming out next year. Now something else that's also worth mentioning is that maybe Nintendo is releasing a new Nintendo Switch revision next year in order to combat the hackers who are hacking the Nintendo Switch system right now. Now if you're not really into the hacking scene with the Nintendo Switch, the one thing that I know is that the Tegra X1 chip that's inside of the Nintendo Switch system right now is actually very exploitable, and a lot of hackers have said that that's like the really easy thing that they've used in order to be able to like load code and hacks into the Nintendo Switch. And so maybe Nintendo is trying to get rid of that Tegra X1 chip, like they could try to come up with some other chip or try to just rework it to make sure that they can't be able to hack it so easily and get into the Nintendo Switch. And finally, the last thing that I just want to talk to you guys about is what this could mean if we do get a potential more powerful Nintendo Switch system. And the thing about this is I'm sure that third-party developers are going to be very happy if the Nintendo Switch system is even stronger and if they have more possibilities to be able to get some of their intensive games onto the Nintendo Switch. But then there's also the issue of what if these more powerful games that get ported onto the new Nintendo Switch system, what if they're exclusive for only that Switch system? And I know that a lot of people might not like this and a lot of people will be upset. Now I'm sure that if Nintendo released some of these games, I'm sure Nintendo will try as hard as they can to make sure that it's playable on all of their Nintendo Switch systems, but I really feel like if third-party developers have access, they're only going to make their games that are very intensive available for just the pro Nintendo Switch model or like the Switch model that's more powerful. And we have seen this with the Nintendo 3DS, where some games are exclusive only to the new Nintendo 3DS because it requires more powerful hardware, and we've seen this with games like Xenoblade Chronicles 3D, as well as Fire Emblem Warriors. So hopefully that doesn't become the case for third-party developers, and I think it'll be really bad if Nintendo started doing that with some of their first-party games, where you would only be able to play them on the more powerful Nintendo Switch system. So hopefully they don't do that. I can kind of see third-party developers doing it because they're like, no, we can't really do anything to make it run on the normal Nintendo Switch, but we can make it work on this more powerful Switch. But hopefully Nintendo won't do that. I just don't know how it would feel for a lot of people who just like bought a Nintendo Switch and now they wouldn't be able to play a lot of these games because they're going to be exclusive to a more powerful Nintendo Switch. And so there you go, guys, that's all the information that we have right now about the rumor that a potential new Nintendo Switch system could be releasing next year in 2019. If you guys enjoyed this video, then please be sure to click that like button and also comment down below and let me know what you guys think of this. Are you excited for a new Nintendo Switch revision? Are you not excited for it? Do you think that it's going to be like a more affordable Switch? Do you think it's going to be a more powerful Switch? How do you feel about all of this? Definitely be sure to let me know all of your thoughts down below. If you're new to this channel, then please be sure to subscribe. I'm definitely going to have some more Nintendo content in the future, so please be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on that. Click on that bell to become a part of the notification squad. Go follow me on Twitter at @Aero so you can be featured in videos, and also join my Discord as well. We've got a bunch of nice people there who are always talking about Pokemon, Smash Bros, and Nintendo, so definitely be sure to join that. I'll have that linked in the description. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching.